Hey everybody, Jason here, bringing you another episode of How to in a time of crisis. And today is how to breed generosity in a time of crisis. And you may be saying, well, why do I need to be talking about or thinking about generosity in time of crisis? Well, I would say now is the best time. Crisis is exactly when we need to breed generosity. First of all, because all of us need it more, but it's also because it speaks the most to people and to those around us when we are generous. So what is generosity? One of my favorite definitions is it's the quality of being plentiful or large. Now, I'm not talking about being physically large or physically plentiful. Generosity, the quality of being plentiful or large, simply means in your words, your actions, your thoughts, your facial expressions, the way you love people, the way you help people. That's what generosity means. It's how you are large and that you're big in how you're generous. How can you be generous? Well, there's a few things. One of the ways we can be generous is with our words. And some of you would say, well, I'm not really a word person. Well, that's okay. You don't have to be a great word person. You simply have to speak and be nice and use nice words and be generous. Tell people you love them, you appreciate them, you're thankful for them, you're grateful that they're in your life. Tell them that your life is better because they're in it. Now, only say it if you mean it, but if you mean it, be generous with it. You can also be generous with your smiles, your facial expressions, the warmness of your face. I have people that I love in my life. One of the main reasons is because they smile a lot, and when I'm with them, I feel better. You can be generous with your actions. There's things, if you're kind of sequestered to your house, you can be generous with helping take out the garbage. You can, if you're a teenager or one of the children in the house, you can clean up the room. Even if you're a spouse, you can clean up the bedroom. You can deal with the laundry. You can deal with the recycle. Now, if you're like me, no one else wants you to cook in the house, so I don't do any cooking. But what I do is make sure that I clean up all the dishes once the meals are over. I clean everything up, take it all in the kitchen, wash it all off, get it all set so that it can be washed. You can make sure that you clean up after the rest of your family members. Another way you can practice or breed generosity in your life is you can share your stuff. My 8-year-old daughter doesn't like to share her stuff too often. So sometimes I go in and I say, hey, honey, it's time to share. Well, maybe you're 15. Maybe you need to share your gaming system with your sibling, or maybe you need to share it with your dad. Or maybe you just need to share your tools. Maybe you need to do what you need to do to share your stuff in your house and in your life. Another thing you can do is give money. Yeah, I just said money. Well, why do we need to give money? Well, the Bible's very clear about something, that where our treasure is, that's where our heart's going to be. And so one of the things we need to practice is making sure our money doesn't have control of us, but rather we have control of our money. Now, I know that you're saying, well, I'm worried about my rent payment. I'm worried about my mortgage payment. I'm worried about whether I'm going to get a paycheck. I'm worried about how we're going to afford groceries. Well, I'm not asking you to do it in the sense that you're not going to think about what's happening to you. I'm talking about how you breed generosity in your life. And the way we breed generosity in our lives is to be generous. There's no magic pill we can take. There's no switch that's going to flip in our heart that says, all of a sudden I'm generous. We breed generosity by being generous. The interesting thing is that if we don't breed generosity in our lives, greed sets in. Greed sets in pretty quick. And I know that many times we can think greed is just something that rich people have. But the truth is, greed has nothing to do with what you have. Greed has nothing to do with what you have. Did you hear that? Greed has nothing to do with what you have. Greed is a heart issue. You can have absolutely nothing in this world and be completely generous. And you can have everything in this world and be completely generous. Some of the most generous people I know have the most things, have the most stuff. And I think one of the reasons they have it is because of that. But I also know people who have a lot of stuff and they're greedy. And people don't like to be around them. But I know lots of people that don't have anything and they're generous, obviously, and they don't have much left because they just give it all away. The truth is, greed is an issue of the heart. It's not an issue of the pocketbook. So how do we develop generosity in time of crisis? Be generous. And so when I talk to you about money, find something, find a cause you can give some money to. Do it so that it's a little bit difficult. It's not something that is easy. Do it so it causes you a little bit of pain in your pocketbook. Give to your church. Give to a good cause. Give to support the food bank. Do something that gives out of your resources that costs you a little bit, because the things that cost us are the things that matter to us most. How do you develop generosity in your heart? You be generous. And you might say, well, Jason, it doesn't feel so good. Well, the truth is, the longer you do things that are good, you will feel better about it. Good and right and proper emotions will follow good and right and proper actions. And so when we act generous, when we function and we have the quality of bigness and generosity or plentifulness in our life, that will begin to translate. We'll find more smiles on our own face, which will translate into more smiles on other faces. We'll find more resources at our disposal, because the Bible's very, very, very blunt, that God will give back to us and he will repay us. We don't give to get from God. But what happens is when we give, God gives to us because he knows he can trust us with things. He can trust us with more. The Bible has this great line that I love. It says that God loves a cheerful giver. If you want to develop generosity in your life, I would challenge you right now is a great time to learn it, because if you learn it during crisis, if we learn it during crisis, then when the crisis passes, we'll have that much more to give. We'll have that much more to be a blessing. We'll be able to be as generous as we can possibly be. The Bible is very clear that we need to make sure that we're cheerful givers. So it might cost us a little bit. It might hurt us a little bit. It might hurt in the pocketbook a little bit. But I guarantee you, God will bless you and you'll be blessed when you develop a generous heart. In this time of crisis, develop generosity. Give, use your actions, use your facial expressions, smile, be plentiful in your words, be large in your words, express generosity to people, and you will find that God will bless you in return, because he loves a cheerful giver. And that is some of the ways you develop generosity in a time of crisis. God bless you. Have a great day.